extract the value from their personal development time. Because if we're just reading just to read, you might as well be watching The Real Housewives. Like, like there's no point if you're not going to implement and use what you're learning. There's no point. Like we have to be really intentional with our personal development time. So that being said, there's two different types of personal development, right? There's personal development for your brain, your mindset, your mental well-being. I would put that Girl Power book I'm reading under that category because there's not a lot of tangible knowledge that I can actively apply there necessarily, but it's going to make me a better person understanding these things, right? Mindset work is a little bit of tangible knowledge and, kind of like feel good mental health. And then there is the actual hands-on personal development. So an example of that would be, you guys know I launched my own boutique. And part of that was I signed up with someone who specializes in setting up these stores, helping you find vetted vendors so that you're not working with scary, people. You're getting quality products. They have good return policies. They ship promptly, but she also has coursework. And there's like 300 and something different lessons in her coursework that I have access to. So learning her Facebook ad strategy, she has Pinterest advertising strategy, she has Google ad strategy. That's like hands-on, like active skill development learning, right? And we need both. Mindset work all the time is not going to improve our skills, right? So we need to read books on marketing. We need to read books on sales. We need to develop ourselves in those areas just as much as we need to read books on building better habits. And I just got the Mel Robbins Let Them book. I'm super excited to dig into that. So, whatever we do with personal development, we want to make sure that we're doing a little bit of both things. So this time together we have every week is a little bit of mindset. It's a little bit of hands-on, tangible learning, right? So same thing. If you just sit on these trainings week after week after week and you don't implement, which I'm preaching to the choir here because you guys both implement, but if you if you don't implement, what are you doing here, right? Like you might as well just throw your money out the window because you're not improving, you're not growing. And there are a lot of people who are just consumers of personal development. So our mission is to go from being consumers of personal development to actively participating in our own personal development journey. Okay. So the very first part, I call my formula the EAT formula because we have to eat every day, right? I don't miss a meal ever. I might be on a weight loss journey, but I am not missing any meals. I can promise you that. I like food a lot. And so we eat every day, and that makes it easy to remember, right? So the first part of eat every day is to educate yourself every day. And so we want to be learning and growing in some way every single day, having that dedicated personal development time as part of our daily routine. So questions to ask yourself is, what am I wanting to experience growth in? Where do you feel like you struggle and you need to grow? Maybe it's belief. Maybe you struggle with belief in yourself. Maybe you want to get better at marketing and sales. Maybe you want to have better conversations with people. Maybe you want to learn how to ask better questions. Like there's so many different things, and that requires a little bit of introspection. But once you know where you want to grow and learn, then you can ask the questions, well, what books or courses are available? Where can I find information on this thing? Maybe you want to get better at money management or finance. Maybe you want to learn more about investing. I'm going to call Christina when I'm ready to get better at investing. So, so, who knows who teaches what I want to learn, right? And find out what's available. Maybe there's podcasts out there. Maybe you don't like to read, but you like to listen, and you can dig into some podcasts or some audiobooks or some coursework. And then create a schedule for yourself. When am I going to commit to learning these things? Is it a half hour every morning? Is it 5 pages before your workout? Is it 10 pages at night before you go to bed? Like, what is your committed learning time? When can you schedule that time in? And I would argue that it is just as important as your workout, as your meditation, as anything else that you do for yourself, even if it's 15 minutes, even if it's 5 pages. Like, you don't have to make a massive daily commitment, but you want to really give yourself that gift of learning every single day. Okay. And then step 2 is to apply. And no, I'm not opening a beer, but I am going to open a fizzy water. So I brought it in here with me, but I didn't know. I don't like beer, but I will do a White Claw every now and again.
No judgment here. So,
Yeah, no judgment.
It's
You do
definitely
you.
fizzy water. It's bubbly. But um we want to apply and we want to be aware. Okay, so the A stands for apply. So as you're consuming what you're learning, I want you to really pay attention. What stands out for you? And usually what stands out for you is something that either you really need to hear, or sometimes it's something that keeps popping up over and over and over again. I don't know if you guys saw my Sunday email, but so many times last weekend and throughout the previous week, the question of how do I want to feel popped up so many times. And it was interesting to me that it kept popping up. It was like I listened to a meditation that came in my email. And that was the topic of the meditation. And then I picked up a book on journaling. And the very first sentence was, how do I want to feel? And I'm like, wait a minute. And then I saw it again somewhere else. And I'm like, it's probably not that question. I mean, it's kind of weird that that specific question kept coming up in the exact same sentence, but it's obviously something that I need. My brain is like latching on when it sees that, it's recognizing it. There's a reason for that. So when things stand out to you, what stands out and why is it standing out? Is it something I need to learn? Is it something I'm working on? You know, what is it about this that I need to be paying more attention to? And then the next question I want you to ask yourself is, what can I apply or implement right now? Sometimes when we're reading, it sounds great, but it's not something that we can actively implement right now. And that doesn't mean we don't file it away in the filing cabinet for later, but if there's something that you can implement right now, pay attention to that. What is it? Do you want to implement it? Why does implementing that appeal to you? Right? And then I kind of already touched on this, but are there any recurring themes I need to pay attention to, and what are they? So we want to be actively applying what we're learning. If we want to learn more about money management and we're reading books on money management, but we're not changing our money habits, what are we doing? Right? So if we're reading a book on money management and the very first thing it says is you should probably be making and sticking to a budget, which I should probably be doing. And we don't do that thing, right? Then what are we doing, right? We're not applying what we're learning. We're not taking any steps in the direction that we say we want to go. So we're just reading just to read or listening just to listen. But if we actively start working on that budget, and, you know, or maybe we read a book on weight loss and it talks about the importance of meal prepping and meal planning and, you know, being aware of what you're putting in your body. we don't actively start doing those things, what are we doing, right? So applying what we're learning becomes very, very important in this process. And then we transform. And if we are actively growing in our personal development journey, if we are consuming things that we desire to learn about, that we desire to get better at, we are actively consuming them and we are actively implementing, we are going to transform. It's impossible not to, right? You can't do mindset work every day and not get better as a person. Like, that's just not how it works, right? So as we shift and grow, we want to pay attention to the changes that are happening in our lives. We start keeping a budget and we start keeping on track with our money. What's going to happen to our bank balance? It's going to get better, right? Theoretically. So if we start counting our macros and prepping our meals and not grabbing McDonald's because we're starving, what's going to happen to our waistline? Theoretically, it should get smaller, right? Like, as long as we are applying the principles in the way that they're meant to be applied, and we're doing the things that we say we really want to do, we should be experiencing transformation in our lives. What is that transformation you're experiencing? And as you experience it, what takeaways and feelings can you share with your audience? By choosing to have a business that puts you in the public eye, you are choosing to be an influencer. I don't know if you guys realize that or not, but you've chosen to be influencers in a way. So that gives us the ability to add value in really special ways, right? So if we take on this budget journey or we take on this meal prep tracking journey and we experience real change and we share it with our audience, what happens? You're muted.
We win. I
You win.
mean,
You should.
mhm.
Did you guys see what my weight loss post did yesterday?
Yes, that's amazing. Congratulations to you.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
But did you see the comments?
Yes.
Did you see the likes? Would you like to see my inbox?
Really? That's
I
awesome.
it's created conversations with people that I had kind of lost touch with because I had backed away from my business on the activewear side for a while. A lot of the people who ask me for details are customers that were shopping with me.
Mm.
So now, and I'm not pushing product on them right at this moment, but I am talking to them.
Mhm.
Here's what I've been doing. It's not rocket science, guys. I'm kind of watching what I eat and exercising, but here's what I'm doing. What supplements are you using? Well, I'm drinking a protein shake and I'm taking fiber. Again, it's not really sexy, but it's getting the job done. You know, but it's conversations, right? And what are conversations? Potentially their money in the bank later, right? So it's about sharing in a way that's authentic, in a way that's relatable, in a way that is really part of your own journey. And you can just share, hey, I'm probably going to share about that Women in Finance book. I didn't know that the women's banking thing was so recent. And as someone who really believes in empowering women and who, wants to lift other women up and encourage them and think about how far we've come in 50 years. Like, considering it took hundreds of years in this country for women to have the universal right to vote, you know, like that was not fast, and considering that, you know, the the idea that a woman would be told she should just go home and make babies when she wanted to borrow money. Like, no, no, you just go home and make babies. Like, one of the women in this book was actually told that she should just go home and make babies. And that was in the 70s. That's when we were born. Like, that's so I'm probably going to share about that. Is it a personal growth journey moment? No. Is it relatable to any woman who's ever been made to feel less than because she's a woman? Abso-freaking-lutely. Right? So I'll probably share that I'm reading the book. I'll probably share a little bit what it's about and some of my key takeaways. And will I uplift and inspire somebody? Hopefully, right? Because let's remember, why do people come on social media? Do you guys remember? The three
Feel better
reasons?
about themselves.
Well, there's that.
To
There's
learn,
we love to talk about ourselves.
Connect.
Yeah. What did you say, Christina?
to be educated.
Yeah.
Um, I know the other two, and it's like on the tip of my tongue. I know the first one is to be educated. I have it in my book here. I know I have it written down. I know. I should know it.
Well, connection is part of one of them.
Come on, Sarah, you know it. Let's go. Help me out here.
Yeah, I'm blank. On
Well, we got educated,
educated,
entertained,
entertained. Yep.
and inspired.
Inspired.
And that
Yeah.
feeling of connection that you get is kind of part of that inspiration piece, right? Because we are more connected digitally than in the ever, like ever before. We can reach people from all around the world in a second. We are more socially isolated than ever before. And so more people are lonely. And so they are looking for that connection online, right? That inspiration, that feeling of connectedness. They're finding it on social media. And it's kind of like part of that entertainment inspiration side of things, right? So connection is definitely a part of it. People want to laugh, they want to be distracted. We're also a little bit addicted, right? So as a whole, Americans are addicted to social media. So it's definitely something to think about as you're learning and growing. Like, how can I share this? How can I use this to grow my brand? How can I, create valuable content as a result of this? Oh, what does Ray Higdon call it? He calls it invest, learn, teach. Invest in yourself, learn it, teach it back. And it's the same concept, right? You're growing yourself, you're learning new concepts, you're teaching it back. So, that's basically how we make the most of our personal development time, right? Does that help you guys? Okay. So page 2 is this cute little journal page. Just to kind of remind you, like, here's what we want to do. Now, I am a Kindle girl, like all day long. So sometimes if I read just like a short snippet of something that I feel like would make a really good like inspiration piece for a post, because I read on the Kindle app on my iPad, I'll copy that bit of content into the Notes app on my iPad. So then I can, get on my phone or I don't have any social media on my iPad because I don't want to be tempted when I'm reading to check social media. So I have nothing. I have almost no apps on my iPad. Uh, but I will grab my phone, open that Notes app, and I will use that to inspire content. So yesterday I did a post about the end of the year. And it actually came from my personal development. Let me find that. So I mentioned that this came from that same book that asked me how I wanted to feel. But so this post here. What was your year? What happened? Good or bad? It just so happened that I canceled everything last year. I'm like, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. I've never done that before. It's not a regular thing, um, but what happened last year and what are you looking forward to next year, right? So it's just, it's a it's a very simple journaling exercise that was in the book I was reading. But I used it to create a post on social media. So while that's not exactly teaching back what I learned from the book, it is sharing my takeaway from the book, right? So there is an author, her last name is Blanchard. She's got like a bajillion books on Amazon and they're all on Kindle Unlimited and they're all about manifesting and like mindset and stuff like that. But she's always got really great journaling prompts in them. They're not like earth-shattering books, but her journaling prompts are really good. But one of them was journal yourself into a writing career or something like that. And I don't necessarily want to be like a super published author, but I was curious about the journaling prompts, so I grabbed it. That post came from her journaling prompts. So, it's not always like a direct, tangible, like, here's what I learned today. You know what I mean? But here's what I got from that today. And so then I could take that idea and that concept and turn it into something that's then shareable content. So I'm learning and I'm growing as a person, but I'm also doing I'm double dipping basically and making sure that I always have something to talk about that adds value, that's inspirational. Sometimes it's entertaining. Like in my Facebook group this morning talking about not knowing what day it is and what a vegetable looks like. Um, that's entertaining, right? And relatable. So it's really about making sure that we're using that information. We're using the work we're doing. We're making it count twice. We're becoming better people. We're becoming more skilled, but then we're also using it to create content. Is that helpful? Do you guys have questions?
I don't think so. I know, I mean, I do better with the personal development stuff when I schedule it. I know, like putting it on something to check off, whether it's 10 minutes a day or whatever number of pages, I do better with it. So I know I need to put that back on my schedule because I haven't been being very good about doing it. I was, but I haven't been very good with it.
So did
Like
I
a
tell you
quick one to
guys?
fall off.
Yeah, it's an easy one to get away from. And as someone who I can read, okay, this is disgusting. Not disgusting. It's ridiculous. But I read 3 900 plus page novels in December.
Yeah, I come from a reading family, so that's not crazy. I've never been that voracious, but
But I can throw a book down really fast. And like that's not all I read in December. That's just like the second half of December. It's ridiculous, okay? But I can read for days. Like I read when I'm blow drying my hair, if I'm doing something mindless, if I'm standing in the kitchen waiting for water to boil, I probably have my book open. Like I'm that person. Okay. I'm the book nerd that's walking around with their book in front of their face. Like, but it's fiction, right? So I have to be really intentional about the personal development side. I have to consciously sit down and like make myself do the personal investment. So it's scheduled because if it's not scheduled, it's not going to happen. Like if I'm going to sit down for funsies, it's not going to be with a personal development book, right? So, but that being said, it does make a difference when you do it versus when you don't do it. And if you struggle with things to talk about, if you struggle um with coming up with posts, like that's your tool. Especially, like Christina, you dipping your toes into the fitness water, like at a higher level, like that could be a massive resource for you to dig into some fitness and nutrition books and get like real tangible advice that you can share with people. Even though it's things you might already know, it's good to have reminders. And sometimes things are presented in a different way. And when you share them in a different way, they reach people more effectively. So, it's just one of those things where it keeps us fresh.